Guys, can you see my full screen?
Yes.
Okay. Now, uh, is it animated? Is it animated?
Yes, it is.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay, very good. So could you please mute your mics?
Okay.
Please mute your mics. Please, I'm waiting for you to mute your mics. I'm afraid someone is muting and then unmuting their mic. Could you please just mute your mic? Okay, thank you very much. I mean, my objective today is to revise with you the last part of the syllabus having to do with the analysis of a passage or a paragraph or sentences, selected sentences from a paragraph. And I would like to say that I will give you two online classes, one today and one tomorrow at the same time, again at 5 o'clock. And tomorrow I would like to give you a model of the exam, just I mean to be ready for the exam. If my point is clear, please say it is clear.
It's clear.
It is clear.
Yes, it is.
Excellent. Please, could you please now mute your mics again? The fundamentals. If someone is unmuting their mic every now and then, could you please mute your mics? That's a little bit annoying. Okay. So let me just, I mean, make it clear that the foundational, or let's say the starting point for a good mastery of what we are doing. Could you please mute your mics? Samad. Someone whose name is Samad. Samad Sadek or something. Are you there? Can you hear me, Samad? He muted himself?
Yes, sir. He muted his mic.
Okay. So, Samad, please make sure to never unmute your mic, if you don't mind. Please, if this is clear, give me a signal that you understand my point. Okay, thank you very much. So, back to my presentation. As I told you, I mean, the key to your analysis is this X bar format, because the other day with one of the two groups, we did this, but it turned out that they did not really master the use of the X bar format. That's fundamental, and I hope you are not running any problems with this. Okay, so let me just remind you of how it works. How many maximal projections do we have here?
You have three.
Yeah, we
Three.
have CP. We have
Maximal projections.
good. Yes. So we have three maximal projections. When we say the maximal projection, we mean the phrasal level. Okay, the phrase level, complementizer phrase, the inflectional phrase, the verb phrase. Okay, the noun phrase, etc. Okay, so it's very important, I mean, to be able to distinguish between the maximal projection and the one bar level, like C bar, I bar, and V bar. Remember that the one bar level is an intermediate stage between the head and the maximal projection. So you should be able to apply this format to any phrase. Whatever the phrase is, it has the same format. And remember, you don't have to care too much whether or not all the slots are occupied with something. For example, I mean the slot of the CP of the specifier of the CP is the landing site, is the place where we put WH words, but it might be empty. The head of C bar, the head of CP is those complementizers like that, if, whether, for. What's the head of IP?
Inflection, auxiliary.
It's the inflection
Or
or the auxiliary.
the auxiliary.
Yes.
Remember that auxiliary and inflection are words for the same thing, so we use them interchangeably. They mean the same thing, whether you write ox or I, which is for inflection. It doesn't make any difference. It's the same. The head of the VP is
The verb.
A verb.
the head of the VP is the verb. So what you need to know about each phrase is what the head is and what the specifier and the complement might be. For example, I mean, the head of IP is always I, or auxiliary. Its specifier is the subject. Give one example. What's the head of CP?
Complementizer.
Complementizer. What do we put in specifier position of the CP?
WH words.
Absolutely, that's the place for WH words. Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so please, this basic structure should be clear in your minds. And I gave you an exercise, I hope that you worked on it, in which you analyze the simple sentence using this XBAR format. If you have, if you have adjuncts, you just iterate the one bar level. For example, the V bar, you iterate it. Suppose, for example, that you have the adverb immediately. So you iterate V bar and you join it to it. Hopefully we will look at one example of this. So, something very important to know is that the subject position, in English, we have two positions for the subject. The first position is the specifier of IP, and the second one is the specifier of VP. Yes, sir. What? What is it? I don't have it here. I don't have it here. Okay. So the subject has two potential positions, either the specifier of IP or the specifier of VP. So we have two, positions, or potential positions. Yeah, the subject may be either here or in both positions. Examples. The specifier of CP is the place for WH words, like when and where and how and what and which, etc. This is the object position. The object is the complement of the verb. Take the following example. Okay, all students have finished their homework. All students have finished their homework. My question for you is, what is the IP in this sentence? What's the IP?
Have finished their homeworks.
Finish their homeworks.
Have finished their homeworks. But their homework is
No.
EP.
All students have
No,
finished
all-
their homework.
All the
I
sentence is the EP.
finished
Okay. In fact, that's a very precise answer, because when you say this, you recognize that all students is in the specifier of IP, and
Yes.
that's good. That's a good answer. Okay, now, what is the head of the IP?
It's the auxiliary.
Auxiliary.
The auxiliary. Have.
Very good, very good. It's the auxiliary. What's I bar?
Have finished their homework.
Yeah, the I bar is have finished their homework. What's the VP?
Finished their homework.
Finish their homework. Look, for example, at the specifier of the VP. The specifier of VP is empty. You see, we have nothing in it in this case. So typically, what we do is that we use this phi symbol. You know, it's the empty set symbol. We place it here. That's what typically do when we draw a tree diagram. Please unmute your mics. Okay, now suppose that we have the following sentence. The students have all finished their homework. The students have all finished their homework. Now I will ask you some questions. What is the difference between the first sentence, which is all students have finished their homework, and the second one, which is the students have all finished their homework? What's the difference between the two?
All
We have
has moved from its
VP has a
position.
specifier.
Yes.
Now we have two specifiers, one for the IP and one for the VP.
Ah, yeah, very good. Yes. Now we have two specifiers, one for the IP, which is the students, it's in the IP, in the specifier of IP, and all in the specifier of VP. So what we did in this case is that we took the students from this position and we placed it here, leaving all in the specifier of VP. This is what we call stranding. Stranding means, taking one part of the subject and placing it in the specifier of IP and leaving another subject, which is the quantifier, because all means the students. It refers to the same, persons, same people, the students. The students have all finished their homework. This is an example of stranding. Stranding. Stranding means leaving the quantifier in the specifier of VP. In the structure that you can see here to the right, I'm just giving you the example of if you have an adverb. You see what we do is that we iterate the V bar, we iterate V bar, and then we adjoin the adverb to it. And this is just, a revision. This is just, a revision of the X-bar format. Suppose, for example, that you have an adjective. An adjective is an adjunct to, so we adjoin it to in bar. So the adverb is adjoined to V bar, as you can see here. And the adjective phrase is adjoined to in bar. I have a question for the coordinator. Are you recording this class?
Yes, Professor, I am.
That's cool. That's cool because I have just received a message, a text from someone who is complaining about not being admitted. So it's a good idea. To just record everything. Please, yes, sir?
I'm sorry, Professor, I didn't hear you.
Unmute, please. Unmute the mic. Please unmute the mic. Coordinator, can you hear me?
Yes, Professor.
Could you please block anyone who is not unmuting their mics? Just block them, please. Is it clear, coordinator?
Yes, Professor, it is.
Anyone who is not unmuting their mics, just exclude them.
Okay, well.
Because I think my instructions are clear and we should not keep, this is very annoying.
Okay, Professor, I will.
Okay.
Yes.
Unmute, please. Okay. So here I'm explaining how, I mean, an adverb can be adjoined to V bar. And here I am illustrating how an adjective can be adjoined to N bar. Yeah. Okay, look at this tree diagram. We have an IP. How many specific, look at the red spots, this one and this one. Which positions are these?
Specifier.
Yeah. Okay, good. This is the specifier of VP, isn't it? And this is the specifier of IP. Yeah. So what I would like you to do, if you don't mind, in the following sentences, we will go sentence by sentence, and I would like you to tell me what is the VP in each one of the sentences, and then we discuss it together. Let's start with the first one, which is the workers have all completed their tasks. What's the VP here?
Completed
All
this.
completed their
Their
task.
task.
All completed
All
their task.
completed their task.
Have all completed their tasks. This is the VP.
Absolutely, yes. All completed their tasks. And what's the specifier?
All.
Yeah, very good. It's all.
All.
All, yes.
Oh.
Okay, and what is the IP here?
The workers
The
have
workers have
The
all
completed their
workers have
task.
all completed their tasks.
Very good, yes. And what's the I bar?
Have all
Have
completed
all
their
completed
task.
their
Completed
tasks.
their tasks.
Okay, very good, yes. Now let's look at sentence number 2. The guests have both arrived at the party. The guests have both arrived at the party. What's the VP?
Arrived.
Both
Both
arrived
arrived
at the
at the
party.
party.
Arrived at the party.
Okay,
Both.
tell me, what is the VP? Both arrived at the party, that's number 1, or arrived at the party, that's number 2.
Both
Number
arrived
one.
at the
Both
party.
arrived at the party.
Both arrived at the party.
Yeah, yes, that's it. Because both, again, we have stranding here. We can have stranding with all and with both, you see? Both is in the specifier position of VP here. Number 3, the team has each contributed to the project. The team has each contributed to the project. What's the VP?
Each contributing to the project.
Contributed to the
Contributed to the
project.
project.
Each contributed to the project.
Absolutely, yes, it's each contributed to the project. And what's the specifier of VP?
Each.
The specifier of the VP is each.
Yeah. And what's the specifier of the IP?
The
Has.
specifier of the IP, the team. The team is the specifier, the subject.
Yeah, the subject. What's the head of IP?
Has.
Has.
Yeah, has. Okay, good. How about sentence number 4? The children have both finished their meals. What's the VP again?
Both finished their
Both
meals.
finished their meals.
Both finish their meals.
Absolutely.
No.
And in 5, the researchers have all conducted their experiments. What's the VP?
All conducted their
their
experiments.
Conducted the
Yeah, that's it then.
Their
That's what we call
experiments.
stranding. Yeah, that's what we call stranding. Yeah, we can strand quantifiers, all or both or each, placing them in the specifier of VP while moving the noun phrase to the specifier of IP. That's why we say that we have 2 potential positions for the subject, the specifier of VP and the specifier of IP. The subject is internal to the VP and internal to the IP. Now look at this example, and let's discuss it in the light of the tree diagram we are having in here. In the field was grazing a herd of sheep. In the field was grazing a herd of sheep. When we say a herd of sheep, we mean a group of sheep. They were grazing, that is to say, they were eating grass in the field. In the field was grazing a herd of sheep. Okay, tell me, what's the verb in this sentence?
Graze.
Grazing.
Grazing.
Yeah, good. Good. And what is the I, the inflection?
Was.
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 Right, good. Now I have a question. What is the subject in this sentence?
A herd of sheep.
I
Herd
heard
of
of sheep.
Good. So look at the word order. Is it verb subject or subject verb?
Verb subject.
Verb subject.
No, in this case, the verb become before the subject.
So we have the subject first, and then we have the verb first, and then the subject, right?
Yeah, the
Yes.
object is
Professor, I have a
post-verbal.
question, please.
Yes, sir.
Is it because in the field is an adjunct, that's why we start with it? We can reorder it, that's why we start with in the field.
I am sorry, you will have to say your question again because I couldn't hear the first part of it.
I've said, I've talked about the first phrase in the field, which is a prepositional phrase. Is it because it is an adjunct, that's why we start with it?
Is it because it's an adjunct that we started with it?
Because it can be, adjunct can be reordered. That's why we can start the sentence with them.
I think that the question is not clear still. I mean, you will have to
Sir,
make it clear. Yes.
sir, he said, is it because we have in the field as an adjunct, we put it at the initial position?
That what? That's
In the
what?
field.
The question is not complete. Could you please give me a complete question? Because your question is
Yes,
not.
sir. I think I get their point. He is asking about is it the prepositional phrase in the field? Is it it is in the initial position, right? And he is asking, it is there. It is because it is an adjunct. Because we know that adjunct is from in the sentence. So he is asking, is it is at the initial position because it is an adjunct? So we can move it to the other position.
Okay,
Last
so
position.
okay. So remember, ladies and gentlemen, that one of the main differences between the adjunct and the complement has to do with order. The complement must follow the verb. So we
Yes,
don't
exactly.
have,
Professor, please, if you permit, I have a question about this.
okay, could I just finish my answer if you don't mind?
Okay, yeah, okay, sorry.
It's okay. So for complements, it's very hard to change their order. The object must follow the verb. It allows for some very, very limited, movement types, but generally speaking, the complement follows the verb. The adjunct, on the other hand, is flexible. You can place it at the beginning of the sentence, at the middle of the sentence, and at the end of the sentence as well. So, order or word order with respect to the adjunct is very flexible, either at the beginning, at the middle, or at the end. So it is possible to place it here at the beginning of the sentence because that's one of the possibilities we have. We can say, in the field was grazing a herd of sheep, but we can also place it at the end, as we shall see. We can put it at the end of the sentence as well. So that's a part of answering the question. But I think the question that you wanted to ask, but you did not ask successfully, is not this one. Probably the question that you wanted to ask is this. Here we have the verb followed by the subject instead of the subject followed by the verb, because the regular order is subject-verb. Here in this style, we have the verb and then the subject followed by the subject. So the question is it because we are having this prepositional phrase? Is it because we have this adjunct at the beginning of the sentence that it is possible to have this word order, which is verb subject? Is there any relationship between placing the adjuncts in the initial position of the sentence and having this word order, which is verb subject? So is it because we are moving the adjunct, the PP specifically, to the initial position that we are having verb subject order? Probably this is the question that you wanted to ask. Please confirm or disconfirm. Guys, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes.
Yes, we can hear you, sir.
So for the people who ask the question about the adjunct, do you confirm this question?
Yes, it is confirmed. Thank you.
Okay, yeah. In fact, I mean, the answer is yes, as I will explain in a moment. In fact, we have an adjunct at the beginning of the sentence because we have this order, verb subject, as I will explain. Now, I would like to go back to there was a lady who wanted to ask me a question, who was interrupting me, asking a question. What was your question?
Sorry, first, I'm sorry for
I guess
interrupting you.
the question is about the possibility of moving the complement itself.
No, it's not about that. I have
Okay.
a question about for example, when you have a VP, we see that a VP is a V bar plus an NP. It must be an NP, or it can be another form, PP or another thing.
That's a good question. The complement may be an NP, like for example, he is eating his dinner, but it can also be a PP, like with some verbs, like the verb put. You say, for example, put something down, put it on the table. On the table.
Yes, exactly.
On the table is a complement. You see, down is
Yes,
an adverb, and they are necessary. They are not adjuncts. Okay, so we can.
Yes. And sometimes it's acceptable to find an adjunct between the verb and the PP, and even between the verb and the NP. Sometimes it's acceptable. Sometimes I think no.
What is it?
To find an adjunct between the verb and its complement in the NP, PP.
The rule is if you have an adjunct and a complement, the complement is closer to the verb than the adjunct. You say, for example, order the drinks before the meal, but you don't say order before the meal the drinks, right?
I asked this question, Professor, because in our group we saw your previous exam. There is a PP that we are confused if it's a complement or it's an adjunct. The meaning, it's a complement, and in the form there is a verb adjunct, then this PP. We don't know if we are not sure if it's a PP or if it's a complement or an adjunct.
Okay, what is the example that you've been reflecting on?
You
don't have it in front of you now.
No. Yes, this I have it now. Was laughing hilariously at the slow turtle last night.
Was laughing
hilariously at the slow turtle last night.
And what is your concern? What seemed to be a problem with this sentence?
At the slow turtle, is it a complement or an adjunct?
What do you think?
In the meaning, it's a complement because we're laughing at what? In the meaning, it's a complement, but it's previous by an adjunct. It's not near to the verb, exactly to the verb.
Yeah. So you are thinking add something to be a complement, right?
Yes.
But here the verb to laugh is not a transitive verb, so that it doesn't need an object.
Yeah.
But at a slow turtle, it's a necessary part to complete the meaning, because the sentence is not complete here. No, the sentence is more longer than this. Okay.
Yeah,
so to complete the meaning, we need this. In the meaning, we need this part to understand the extent of the sentence. We need this part.
Not necessarily. The sentence goes like the cute girl was laughing hilariously and so on. You can just say the girl was laughing and it makes sense. The sentence.
If you saw the exam, you will see that the extent of the sentence while running toward the door, you will even the next question in the exam will show this ambiguity.
Okay, so let us just restrict ourselves to the very simple question whether I mean the at prepositional phrase, like in a sentence like he was laughing at the boy, he was laughing at his friend. Let us restrict it to the question whether or not at his friend is a compliment or an adjunct. Is it a compliment or an adjunct? I think this is the whole question boils down to that, to this. Okay, is that a compliment or an adjunct? What do you guys think?
Sir, at his friend.
An adjunct. It's an adjunct.
I think it's
Yeah.
an adjunct because the meaning of the sentence is complete without it. So it's an adjunct.
Absolutely.
Professor,
Allow me please to just, I mean, say this. If you are laughing, then you are not necessarily laughing at someone, or are you?
Yes, exactly.
You may be laughing because someone has just told you a joke. You may be laughing because you remembered something. You may be laughing just because you are overexcited, because you got your first salary payment and you are laughing out loud, happily, with a lot of joy. So if you are laughing, you are not necessarily laughing at someone. Okay? Is this point clear?
Yes, sir.
Professor,
Okay, so if this is the case, then the prepositional phrase at someone or something or at anything is an adjunct.
Yes, it is.
Now, could you please just restate the same sentence? Could you say it again?
Was laughing hilariously at the slow turtle.
Okay. I try to make it as simple as possible because I want to make my point clear. So, was laughing hilariously at his friend.
Sir,
Okay, can I just finish my point?
I just want to inform you that the call will end up in 8 minutes.
8 minutes. We still have some time to finish this point. So, do you mean 8 seconds or 8 minutes?
No, 8 minutes.
Okay, so I can finish this point of mine. So he laughed hilariously at his friend. Can you say he laughed at his friend hilariously? Is this word order possible?
Yes, it is possible. We can reorder.
Yeah, we can reorder it fundamentally because I mean the two phrases are both adjuncts. None of them is a complement because if one of them were the complement, then it would be closer to the verb than the adjunct. But because both of them are adjuncts, then each one of them can be the closer to the verb. Hilariously first, and then at his friend, or at his friend, then hilariously. Yeah? Does this answer your question?
Yes, Professor, thank you.
Yes. So, Mr. Coordinator, do you think it's the right time to move to another session, or we can just wait until...
Actually, Professor, I am creating another meeting. Then I will send it to you.
Okay, so I just keep going with this one.
Okay, I will share the link just here. You don't need to log out and then.
I don't need to.
Yes.
Okay, yeah. So again, back to this sentence. In the field was grazing a herd sheep. I would like you to please concentrate a little bit on the idea, the fact that we have a verb and the verb is followed by the subject. The word order is verb, subject. Still, I want to ask you some questions just to make sure that the point is clear for you. Look at the, what is the verb? What's the verb in this sentence?
Grazing.
Grazing.
It's
Grazing.
great.
Yeah. Good. Yeah. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, that we have two potential positions for the subject. Either the specifier of VP or the specifier of IP. But something interesting that happens here, we are doing two things that are interesting. The first one is that we keep the subject in the specifier of VP, which is a herd of sheep. We just put it there in the specifier of VP. We don't move it to the specifier of IP, but we place it in the specifier of VP. The second thing which is interesting is that we move the verb from its canonical position and we adjoin it to I. So it's like a, how can I explain this? It's like we are unifying. Do you understand the verb unify?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, we are unifying the verb with the auxiliary. We make them one in the same position. So we move the verb, and then we keep the subject in his position in the specifier of VP. If we do this, we will end up having the order, the verb first, because it's in info, it's in the auxiliary position, and then the subject, which is in the specifier of VP. This process, ladies and gentlemen, has been called by linguists verb movement. Verb movement means moving the verb from its original position to the I position. Look at the V, I'm putting it here. It's the head of I bar. So that's V movement or the verb movement. Unfortunately, the course that we are having, the scope of the course and the time limitations do not allow me to explain to you verb movement. This is something that you can learn at a higher level, but for the moment, let us just understand that the verb moves and the subject does not move. The verb moves and the subject does not move. That's why we have this order. Guys, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes, Professor.
Yes,
Yes, sir, absolutely.
Coordinator, do I have to change the link or not?
Yes,
Yes, sir.
Professor. I just
Yeah?
I just created a new link for a new meeting. You can go to the messages and join the new meeting.
Okay, I will. That's what I will.
Or you can
Please,
check your WhatsApp.
I can what?
Check your WhatsApp. I sent you a message.
Yeah,
You can
that's what I
join
will
from there.
do. That's what I will do.
Yeah.
That's what I will do. Okay.
please, did you send it also for group in the group for us? WhatsApp on WhatsApp.
Yes, I will send you the link. Just check the WhatsApp group.
All right.
Can you please accept us?
Abdeltaif, can you please accept our joining request? Guys, where is the new link? The new link is on messages here. The messages of the call. But he needs to accept our request first. Abdul, you should accept our request, please.
Can you see my full screen?
Yeah.
Yes, it's clear.
Yes, sir. You can see it.
Yes, it's clear.
Okay, very good. Could you please unmute? Could you please mute your mics?
All right.
So, I mean, just to recap, this is a sentence in which you have the verb first, followed by the subject, and this switching of order, as I said, results from keeping the subject in the specifier of VP and moving the verb. To practice this, could you please mute your mics? Coordinator, could you please just block anyone who is not muting their mics?
Okay, I will.
Look at the following sentences. We will do it together. You will read one sentence, and we'll look at the sentence if we have this. Could you please? Oh my God. Okay. So let us look at the at these sentences. On the hill stood a solitary tree. So which order do we have here? Is it subject verb or verb subject?
Verb subject.
Verb subject.
Yeah,
Subject.
yeah, verb subject. So I have a question for you. What is the VP here? Can you guess what is the VP?
On the
On
hill
the hill
stood.
stood.
Yes, what is it?
Maybe on the hill stood.
No, the VP
A
is not
solitary tree.
hill stood. Very good. Yeah, a solitary tree. This looks like an MP, but in fact, it's the VP. Why is it the VP? Because a solitary tree is in the specifier of VP, and the verb itself has moved to I. Now, if I ask you the question, what is I bar? Can you guess what is I bar in here?
Stood.
No, certainly not.
It's not there, Professor.
What is the I bar?
Auxiliary.
What do you mean? I'm asking you the question, what is I bar? And your answer, it's I.
Is I plus
But
XP.
Professor, we have no inflection here. We have no auxiliary. So
What you are saying is incorrect. Let me explain again. What we said is that when we have those, what happens is that the verb moves to I. Going back to the structure again, I said that in sentences like in the field was grazing a herd of sheep, the verb moves to I. It comes here. So the I bar is this, grazing a herd of sheep. That's the I bar, because the verb moves to I bar. Moves to I. So this is the I bar. It's grazing, was grazing a herd of sheep. So as I said, I mean the verb unifies with the auxiliary. So going back to our sentence, on the hill stood a solitary tree. What is the I bar?
Professor, in the
Yes.
first sentence, we have inflection. What is this one?
Yes, what is it?
There is movement of the
I can't hear you. I can't hear you.
Thank you.
You have a mic problem.
Yes.
So what is the I bar?
The whole sentence.
Stood a solitary tree.
Yeah, that's correct. Stood or solitary tree, because the verb stood moves to I. So I is stood a solitary tree. Good. And what is the IP?
The whole sentence.
What is the IP? Say it. Don't give me concepts.
On
Say
the
it.
hill stood a solitary tree.
Very good.
On
Yeah.
the house stood.
Exactly. You know what happens? Now I will explain to you what happens with this on the hill. On the hill is a prepositional phrase. And what we do is that we adjoin it to I bar, as you can see in here. We adjoin, we iterate I bar, and we play. That's why it looks at the beginning of the sentence, because we adjoin it to I bar. So let me ask you my questions again, just for me to make sure that you got the point. In the sentence, on the hill stood a solitary tree. What is the VP?
A solitary tree.
A solitary
A solitary tree. Very good. Because the verb has moved out of the verb to I. Now, what's I bar?
On the hill stood a solitary tree.
Very good. Stood a solitary tree. But my question now, stood of solitary tree is an I bar, but is it the first I bar or the second I bar?
The second I bar.
You mean this one?
No, the second I bar.
This is the first, and this is the second.
The first.
It is the first.
The first I bar.
Very good. Because the PP is adjoined to the first, creating the second. That's it there. So on the hill is the PP, which is adjoined to IP. And one of you asked me the question, why do we have this adjunct in here? We have it whenever we have this adjunct adjoined to I bar, it triggers this verb subject inversion in this literary style. Let's look at the second sentence. In the distance sat a quaint little cottage. What's the VP?
A quaint little cottage.
Yeah, a quaint little cottage, because the verb has moved out of it. Yes. Now, what's the first I bar?
Sat a quaint
little cottage.
What's the second I bar?
In the distance sat a quaint little cottage.
Very good. What is it adjoined to? The adjunct. What is it adjoined
In the
to?
distance. In the distance.
My question is, what is it adjoined to? The PP.
Sat a quaint. It is joined to sat a quaint little cottage.
Which is I bar. Yes.
Yeah.
So it's adjoined to I
The
bar.
first I bar.
Very good. Now let's go to sentence number 3. A flock of birds flew by the river bank. I would like you to transform this sentence into a sentence with verb subject.
By the river bank.
By the river bank
Flew a flock of birds.
Good, yes. By the river bank flew a flock of birds. Very good. So what would be the VP then?
A flock of birds.
Good, yes. Because the verb has moved out of the VP. Good. And what would be the first I bar?
Flew a flock of birds.
And the second I bar?
By the river bank
flew a
flock of birds.
What's the adjunct?
By the river bank.
What is it joined to?
Flew a
I
flock
bar.
of birds.
Yeah, good, yes. Sentence number 4. Under the moonlight danced a group of fireflies. What is the VP?
A group of fireflies.
Very good. A group of fireflies, which is placed in the specifier of VP, moving the verb out of it. And what's the first I bar?
Danced a group of fireflies.
Second I bar.
Under the moonlight, danced a group of fireflies.
So when you go back home, I know that you are already back home. I mean, when you're free, take any one of these sentences and draw this tree diagram for it, just for you to make sure where to put everything. Sentence number 5. A lone figure walked along the shoreline.
Excuse me, Professor. Professor?
Yes, miss?
Can I ask you a question, please?
Yes, please.
I'm just asking about the verb. When we move the verb to the E position,
Yes.
shall we retain the...
Should we retain what?
Because in the previous tree, we moved the auxiliary.
Could you please say your question again? Because I didn't hear the first part of it.
Actually, I want to know if we're gonna move the verb from its position to the E position.
I position.
Yeah, I put it. Sorry, I put it. I position. We should maintain the auxiliary in the I position, or we should move it because in the previous example.
Yeah,
Yes.
so was grazing. So what we do here, because we have an auxiliary and you have a verb and you bring them together.
Yes.
You see? Yeah. So they are fused. They become like one. That's why I said when there is an auxiliary, it's maintained. But
Exactly. It wasn't in the I position. We can.
We place it in the I position. Yeah, we place it in the I position.
No, but in the previous example,
I
it
know.
wasn't.
Okay.
What?
Okay. Wait a minute. I will help you.
Thank you.
It's in here.
Yes, it's in IP.
Okay.
Normally, they should be unified.
Okay.
Was grazing.
Okay. Are you happy now?
So sorry, but I'm just getting confused. That's why I'm so sorry, Professor.
You don't have to be confused because I mean that's just a sentence. Look, this is just a sentence, right?
Okay, thank you. I'm so sorry.
But I mean the verb is in here. What counts is the verb in here, and I can even put a little auxiliary here to make you happier.
I'm so sorry, Professor.
No, it's okay. There we go. Okay, like that.
Thank you.
Yeah. So I mean, let us look at the sentence number 5. A lone figure walked along the shoreline. Could you please transform this into a verb subject sentence?
Along the shoreline walked a lone figure.
Yeah. And what's the VP? What would be the VP?
Lone figure.
Lone figure.
Yeah. So we move the verb out of it and we place it in I. And what would be the first I bar in this case?
Walk the lone figure.
Along the shoreline.
Yeah, good. And the second one?
Along the shoreline.
Yeah, very good. So let me just go down because now the point is clear. Go down to sentence number 9. Across the meadow grazed a herd of cattle. And I will ask you some questions. What's the VP?
A herd of cattle.
A herd of cattle.
Where is it
Herd of
placed?
cattle, yes.
Where is it placed?
The VP.
Herd of cattle.
And the B.
Post-verbal.
What's the position of a herd of cattle? Where?
Verb subject.
Verb.
The canonical position of a herd of cattle is preverbal, so this is the
Okay,
canonical position.
I am asking a specific question, so please give a specific answer. What is the position of a herd of cattle, which is the subject?
Final position.
Anything. When we say where is it placed,
After
we
the
make a
verb.
tree diagram.
The first A bar.
The place of VP.
That doesn't mean anything. Which position in the tree diagram?
In the first I bar.
The verb.
The VP. It is the VP itself.
It's the VP, but where is it placed?
Specifier of VP.
V.
Yeah, good. It's the specifier of VP. It's the specifier of VP. And because we move the head out of the VP, there is nothing left. That's why, I mean, the whole VP contains only one thing, which is its specifier, a herd of cattle. So if I move back to this here, yeah, here. So it's in here, right?
Yes.
It's here. And when we move the verb from its canonical position out of it, all that we have in the VP is the specifier. We have nothing else in the VP, just the specifier. That's why when I ask you what is the VP, you answer me, it's the subject, because I mean the subject is all that is left in the VP. Look at the example number 7. Behind the clouds shone the bright morning. What is the VP?
It's a bright morning sun.
Morning sun.
And where is the subject? Where is the verb? Sorry.
On.
It's not in the VP.
Where is it?
It's before previously.
Which position? When we ask the question, where is it? We mean in the tree diagram.
In the I position.
It's in the I.
In the I position.
In the I position. Good. And where is the bright morning, which is the subject? Where is it?
Specifier of the VP.
Yeah, it's the specifier of VP. Yes. How about the specifier of IP? Do we have anything in the specifier of IP?
We have the PP.
No, that's incorrect.
No, we don't have a specifier.
We don't have
We
it.
don't have a specifier for the EP.
Yeah, we don't have
Ah,
it.
good. So this is the specifier of IP. It's empty. We did not move the subject to it. We left it in the specifier of VP. Yeah. The PP is not in the specifier of IP. The PP, as I said, is adjoined to iBar. Yeah. Look at number 6. In the garden bloomed a profusion of flowers. Tell me, what is the VP here? What's the VP?
Profusion of flowers.
A profusion of flowers. Where is it placed? A profusion of flowers.
The VP.
Where?
Specifier of the
Specifier of the VP.
Yeah, it's the specifier of the VP. And where is the verb? Where is the verb?
And
The I position.
position.
In the I position. Yes. And where is the PP in the garden?
The specifier of iBar.
Of the IP.
IP.
Where is it?
Specifier of iBar.
What you are saying is incorrect, because I mean iBar does not have a specifier. Only maximal projections have specifiers. iBar, this is not a specifier position. No.
It's not just.
It's a provisional phrase.
What is it then? It's not a specifier position.
Adjunct. It's an adjunct.
Long. So it's adjoined to iBar. It's not a specifier.
The place of the I, no?
What is it?
The I.
I don't understand what you're saying. You're saying the I don't understand.
Professor, it is an adjunct. That's why we iterate.
Adjunct, yes,
the
an
iBar
adjunct.
field.
Yeah, exactly. It's an adjunct. That's why we iterate iBar. But this is not a specifier position. Only maximal projections have specifiers. iBar does not have a specifier. It's
Please, I have a question.
yeah.
Normally now, the verb is the head of the iBar, isn't it?
What is it?
The verb is the head of the iBar.
Yeah, the verb moves to the head to iBar. Yes.
Yes. So if we have an auxiliary, so the both will take the same position. It doesn't respect the head hypothesis.
What is the head hypothesis?
That each phrase have one head and only one head.
Exactly. That's why you remember when I asked you, do you understand the verb unify? Unify means they become one. It's like we're fusing the verb in you cannot put something between the two. They become
Yes, we can say that it's like one expression.
Yeah, one head.
Yes, I understand now. Yeah. Thank you very much, Professor.
That's why I use the expression unify. I mean, we move the verb
Yes.
and unify it with the auxiliary. They become one.
Something like collocation. Yes, something like collocations.
Technically, we call this fusion. We fuse it.
Fusion. Okay.
Like when you take some metal, let's say, for example, iron, and you fuse it in some more iron, and they become one. You fuse them.
Yes.
So let me just look at one of the examples here. Let's say, for example, number 4. Under the moonlight, dance a group of fireflies. What is the VP?
A group of fireflies.
That's the sub. And where is it placed?
The specifier of the VP.
What is the first I bar?
Dance a group of fireflies.
Yeah. Under the moonlight, which is the PP, where is it?
And the PP adjoined to the I bar.
On the I bar.
Yeah. What do we have in the specifier of IP?
Nothing.
We don't have any specifier.
Yeah, we don't have any specifier. It's empty. We say that it's empty. We have nothing in it, you see. Good, yes. Let us look at sentence number 8. A majestic tiger roamed through the dense forest. I would like you to transform this into a verb subject sentence.
Through the dense forest, a majestic tiger roamed a majestic tiger.
Yeah, through the dense forest, roamed majestic tiger. Yeah, in this case, what would be the VP?
A majestic tiger.
Yeah, because it's it's a switch subject. So where is it placed?
Specifier.
Yeah, and with the verb, what would be the verb?
The head of the I position.
And where is the PP itself? Where would be the PP?
Adjunct of I bar.
I bar.
I bar.
Yeah, and what do you have in the specifier of IP?
Empty.
Empty.
It's empty. It's empty. Yes, exactly. Okay. So this is it then. I mean, as you can see it here. Again, I mean, the specifier, the subject has 2 positions, the specifier of VP and the specifier of IP. That's why, I mean, we can have stranding, as we called it, stranding. The stranding of quantifier, like all, both, and each. And that's why it's possible to have the order verb subject, moving the verb to the auxiliary or to the I position, and leaving the subject in the specifier of VP. When we have this inverted structure, which is a verb subject, we have a PP, which is adjoined to I bar, iterating I bar.
Professor, if the verb has a complement, the complement will maintain its canonical position?
Yeah, I mean, the verb would maintain its canonical position. Let's take one example. When we say, for example, in the fields, in the field, in the field, saw the people, the tigers. In the field, saw the people, the tigers. So the object is in its canonical position. It does not move. Okay. The problem is when we have, I mean, these structures that we call invert structures, in which we have the verb followed by the subject. Okay. The sentences that prefer to use this order are those sentences in which the subject is intransitive. Why? Because if you have the object, it becomes awkward. It becomes very heavy. Listen to this one. In the field, saw the people, the tigers. It's very awkward. It's very heavy. So preferably, the English language can have verb subject only when the verb is intransitive, only when it does not take an object. Because if it has an object, the sentence would be very heavy and very awkward. Does this answer your question?
Yes, very clear, Professor. Thank you.
Yeah. So let's take the following. This is a passage from The Mayor of Casterbridge by Thomas Hardy. It reads as follows. In the heart of the town, at the end of the haphazard of streets, stands the tall, irregular pile of buildings known as the King's Arms Hotel, which is the principal inn in Casterbridge. Some of its apartments, which have for many years been built up, one within the other, four chambers of medieval unfitness and inconvenience. But during the long and wild times when Casterbridge nourished the spinners and weavers, whose noises they now hardly know, this was unquestionably the chief hotel in the town. Uh, how many sentences do we have in this passage?
3.
Yeah, you're right, 3 sentences. Because typically in writing, the sentences are separated with a dot. Here is the first dot, setting off the first sentence. Here is the second dot, setting off the second sentence. And the last dot, the third dot, signaling the third sentence. Let's focus on the first sentence. Practically, especially when you read a novel or any complex text, when the sentence is so complex that it's very hard to understand, you'd better ask yourself the question, what is the subject of that sentence and what is the predicate of it? The subject typically is a noun phrase, so you should specify the subject in P. And then you look at the predicate and you look at what type of phrase it is. So let's start with the first question, which is the subject noun phrase. What's the subject noun phrase in this sentence?
The tall, irregular pile.
Buildings known as the King's Arms Hotel, which is the principal inn in Casterbridge.
Ah, good, yes. And what's the verb of this sentence?
Stands.
Stands, yes. Stands.
Stands.
And this is the subject, the tall, irregular pile of buildings known as the King's Arms Hotel, which is the principal inn in Casterbridge. Let us try to analyze the subject noun phrase. That's a noun phrase, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Yes.
What's the head of it?
Yes.
Pile.
Pile.
Pile, yeah.
Pile. Yes, pile is the head. Pile. Yeah. Does it take any adjuncts?
Yes.
Yes, it does.
Yes, it takes adjuncts.
What are
yes.
they? What are they?
Tall.
So you
Irregular.
have
Left
the
adjuncts. Left
yeah,
adjuncts.
yeah. You have
Tall
the
and irregular.
yeah the adjunct tall and the adjunct irregular. They are adjuncts because you can drop them. Are they left adjuncts or right adjuncts?
Left adjunct.
Left adjunct.
Left adjuncts.
Left adjunct.
Yes.
Yeah. And does it have any complement? Pile,
Yes.
Yes, it have a complement. Yes.
which is
Of
Yes.
building.
Buildings.
King's Arms Hotel.
no, that's not the end of it. Not hotel.
Starting from of buildings till
Of buildings
the
known as the
Casterbridge
King's.
Bridge.
Yes, Casterbridge is the end.
Yeah. So of buildings known as the King's Arms Hotel, which is the principal inn in Casterbridge. So that's the complement. Pile, the pile means something on something else, place on something else. So pile of something. Yeah. Okay. So if you would like to describe this noun phrase, how would you describe it? It's a noun phrase whose head is taking two left adjuncts and selecting a complement, which is. Can I have someone to describe this noun phrase?
Yes, Professor.
Yes, please.
The tall, irregular pile of building known as King's Arm Hotel, which is the principal inn in Casterbridge, is a noun phrase whose head is pile, having two left adjuncts, which are tall and irregular. The complement is of a building known as the King's Arm Hotel, which is the principal inn in Castor Bridge.
Good, yes. There is one thing missing, which is the specifier. Does it have a specifier?
Yes,
Yes,
it does.
Yes, it does.
Determiner.
What is it?
Terminal.
Yeah, yes. Determiner the, yeah. Which other kinds of specifiers noun phrases can take apart from determiners?
Quantifiers.
Quantifiers, yes. What else?
Prenominal genitive nouns.
Prenominal genitives, pronominal and nominal. Pronominal like his and her and their, and nominal like John's in John's book. Yes, and demonstratives. So the specifier of a noun phrase can be a determiner, can be a quantifier, and can be a prenominal genitive, either pronominal like my, or nominal like John's, John apostrophe S. So I would describe this noun phrase in the following way. This is a noun phrase whose head is pile, selecting the complement of buildings known as the King's Arms Hotel, which is the principal inn in Castor Bridge, and taking two left adjuncts, the first of which is tall and the second of which is irregular, having a specifier determiner the. Can I have another person, another student, to describe this noun phrase as I have just done? I will describe it for you for a second time. This noun phrase is a noun phrase whose head is pile, selecting. We don't say taken, but we say selecting for the complement. The relationship between the head and the complement is a relationship of selection. So this is a noun phrase whose head is pile, selecting the complement of buildings known as the King's Arms Hotel, which is the principal in Castor Bridge, and taking two adjuncts, both of which are left adjuncts. The first one is tall and the second one is irregular, and having one specifier, which is the determiner the. Is there anyone who would like to give this description of this noun phrase?
Yes, Professor.
Yes, please.
This is a noun phrase. This noun phrase headed by the pile, selecting a complement which is of building known as the King's Arms Hotel, which is in the principal in Cambridge, and take two left adjuncts which are tall and irregular, and it has a specifier which is the determiner the.
Yes, that's it. Good. Yes. And just a pronunciation note. Never pronounce this word as hotel. This is hotel. Hotel. You stress the second syllable, not the first syllable. You say hotel.
Okay. Okay, thank you for the correction, Professor.
Okay. So let's try to do the same thing with the VP. I would like to challenge you. Okay. Could you tell me what is the VP in this sentence?
The VP is
tall, irregular,
the subject.
tall, irregular pile of buildings known as the King's Arms Hotel, which is the principal in Castor Bridge.
Very good, because here we have a switching of order. We have the verb first and then the subject, right? We have an inverted structure. Okay, good. And where is the verb? Where is the verb?
Stands. In the I
position.
You think that when I asked you where is the verb, I didn't know that the verb is stands, and I needed you to tell me what it is. I didn't ask you what is the verb. I said, where is the verb?
In the I position.
Yeah, it's in the I position. It's in the I position. So what's the first I bar?
Stands the tall, irregular pile of buildings known as the King's Arms Hotel, which is the principal in Castor Bridge.
Okay, very good. That's the first I bar. Yes. And what is the second I bar?
In the heart of the town,
No.
at the end of a
No.
Wow.
No, that's the trick. Okay. Look at
it will be, I think,
at the end of
a half is the street stands the tall irregular.
Okay, wait a minute. So look at the beginning of the sentence and tell me how many PPs, how many adjuncts we have.
Two.
We have two, which means that we will have to iterate I bar for 3 times.
Yes.
Yeah. So we have the lower PP is at the end of the haphazard of streets, and the second one, the higher one, is in the heart of the town. So I will ask you the question again. What's the first I bar?
Stands at the end of the haphazard.
Oh,
Stands
The tall irregular pile of buildings in Lancaster Bridge.
okay, good. Yes. So the first I bar is stands the tall irregular pile of buildings known as the King's Arm Hotel, which is the principal inn in Casterbridge. That's the first one. Okay. And what is the second I bar?
At the end of the
of street and
Yeah. And what's the third I bar?
In the
in the heart of the town.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Now I can describe this sentence, and I can describe it in the following way. This sentence is an IP whose VP is the tall, irregular pile of buildings known as the King's Arm Hotel, which is the principal in Casterbridge, which is the subject being placed in the specifier of VP, because the verb has moved to I, which is stands. So this means that the first I bar is stands the tall, irregular pile of buildings known as the King's Arm Hotel, which is the principal inn in Casterbridge. And the second one, we adjoin the PP to the second I bar, which is at the end of a haphazard of streets. And then we adjoin another PP, which is in the heart of the town. Yeah. Now I can imagine that this sentence is about a pile of buildings, which is tall, which is irregular, and which is known as the King's Arms Hotel. And I can also imagine that it stands. Where does it stand? It stands in the heart of the town, and I can imagine that, and it stands at the end of the haphazard of streets. Okay, so I mean, saying it in a short way, this is a sentence taking the form of an IP with 2 PPs adjoined to I bar, with the verb moving to I, leaving the subject in the specifier position, and the subject itself is a noun phrase headed by pile, selecting of buildings known as the King's Arms Hotel, which is the principal in Casterbridge as its complement, taking 2 adjuncts, tall and irregular, and having one specifier, which is the. Is there anyone who would like to suggest a description of this sentence in these terms? Anyone? Guys, can you hear me?
Can you repeat, please, the question, Professor?
The question is there anyone who would like to describe this sentence in these terms? You can describe it by saying that this is a sentence taking the form of an IP in which we have 2 PPs adjoined to I bar in the heart of the town and at the end of haphazard, and in which the verb moves to I, creating this verb subject order, and in which the subject is placed in the specifier of VP, and the subject noun phrase is headed by pile, selecting, taking 2 adjuncts with the as a specifier. So anyone who would like to try this description of the sentence, this full description? Yes?
May I try, Professor?
Yes, please.
So the sentence is an IP. The VP is the tall irregular pile of building known as the King Arm Hotel, which is the principal in the Casbridge. It's a noun phrase headed by pile and which take two left adjuncts and one right adjunct. The verb is inversed. It take the I position, and we have two PPs that take the I bar, two I bar positions.
They don't take high bar, but they are adjoined to I bar.
Adjoint, yes.
Yeah,
adjoint
that's
to
it.
the I bar position.
That's
Thank
it.
you, thank you.
That's it. So you see, ladies and gentlemen, when you practice detailed description of a sentence, however complex the sentence is, it becomes transparent for you. So the more, that's what we call sentence description. Okay, when you find a text very hard to understand, all that you need to do is to ask two questions. What is the fragment of this sentence that plays the role of the subject, the noun phrase? What is its head? Does it take any adjunct? Guys, can you hear me?
Yes, yes, Professor. Yes.
Does it take any? Does it select any complement? Does it take any adjunct? What is the specifier? And you ask the same questions about the VP. Where is the verb? Does it take any adjunct? Does it take any? What is the specifier, if any, etc. Okay. So basically, I mean, you ask the following questions. Okay. When you analyze in any sentence, you just ask the following questions. Okay. You identify the subject in P and the IP in general. What's the head of the subject in P? What is the specifier of the subject in P? Does the subject select a complement? If yes, what is it? It may select more than one complement. Does the subject in P have any adjuncts? What are they? If yes, what are they? And does it take any specifier? What type of adjuncts are they? Left adjunct or right adjunct? And you ask the same question about the VP, if any. See? So I would like you to please, work on this sentence. Some of its apartments, which have for many years been built up, one within the other, 4 chambers of medieval unfitness and inconvenience. We will be working on this sentence together, analyzing it in the same way. So basically, it's the same type of questions. You ask the same type of questions, okay? What is the subject in P? What's the head? Any complements? Any adjunct? What's the VP? What's the head? Any complement? Any adjunct? You always concentrate on the subject in P, its head. Does it take any complement? Any adjunct? Left or right adjunct? And the specifier as well. Same thing for the VP. What's the head? Adjuncts. Complements, adjunct. Specifier. So the 3 key components are complement, adjunct, specifier. Complement is C, adjunct is A, specifier is S. So CAS, C-A-S, okay? So any phrase should be analyzed in terms of this CAS. What is the head? What is its complement that it selects? What adjuncts does it have? And what specifier does it have, if any? Because it may have no adjuncts, no specifiers. Yeah. So
Professor, we don't care about the complement that exists in the PP, no?
You don't need to care about anything in life. So what is your question? What's your question again?
If we have a PP and the PP include a complement.
Yeah. Yes.
We have to mention it?
Yeah, because the complement can be a PP as well.
No, I mean in this case, PP that's exists in the inverse phrase.
Yeah, here in this sentence, the complement is of buildings known as etc. Okay, and which is a PP. And inside this PP, we have an NP, which is built-in and known as the King's Arms, etc. You see, I'm just
I mean the PP that exists in the beginning, for example,
Sir,
like
we
here
can't
for
hear you.
some of it's a
yes, go ahead.
Some of its apartment which have for many years building up. Considering if we have after apartment, this is an adjunct, but if we have a complement, not an adjunct, we have to mention it.
So here, for example, some of its apartments, you have some, and then it has a complement, which is of its apartment, which have four, etc., etc. Okay, so some followed by a complement of its apartments. Yeah, and the complement itself is a PP, the head of which is of, and the complement is its apartments. That's another NP. Yeah.
Yes. If this small NP, if this small NP include another complement.
Yeah, that's it. That's why this is what I'm trying to explain. Okay, so when you ask the question, what is the head, and then the cast, the complement, the adjunct, and the specifier. Once you analyze it, you will discover that there are some phrases within that phrase, inside that phrase, and then you move to it. Okay. For example, its apartments, which have for many years, have been built one within the other. Yes. So the head in this case is apartment. Having the specifier its, okay, and having the adjunct, which have for many years been built up, one within the other. You see? So you keep analyzing one phrase after another one. But you will be able to do this when you identify the head. Okay, so you have a head, you have a specifier, you have an adjunct. Inside that adjunct, you may find another phrase that you need to analyze. You see?
Yes, Professor. Thank you.
Do you have any questions about this so far?
I want to make sure if this is what's referred to in the book as operation merge and move.
Yeah, I would like, tomorrow, to talk to you a little bit about move and merge. Okay, how can I talk about that? I will come back to this because the key term is recursion. Recursion means, okay, so let's start with merge. Merge means combine, right? Combine. Combining something with something else, right? That's merge. Take, for example, a head, which is, say, any head, which is saw, which is a verb, right? Yeah. So merge means take a head, like saw, and merge it, that is to say, combine it with a phrase, like, for example, the boy, and you will end up having the structure saw the boy, which is the V-bar. Yeah. And then you take, you can project, that's a VP, and then you can take a, let's say, an auxiliary, like, for example, well. Okay, which well is an auxiliary, is an info, which means it's a head. Take the VP, see the boy, and you will end up having the structure will see the boy. Okay, and then you can take another head, which is a complementizer, like that. Okay, and you combine it with the will see the boy, and you will end up having a sentence like that will see the boy, that will see the boy, etc. So merge simply means take a head and combine it with the phrase. Take a head and combine it with the phrase, and keep doing that. Now, take a head and combine it with a head. That's what we call merge. Keep doing that is what we call recursion. Recursion, because it recurs. It's the same rule that recurs again and over again. So take a head, combine it with a phrase. That's merge. Keep doing that. That's what we call recursion. Move is when you take one For example, let's say an adjunct, you take it from one position and you place it in another position. Or a WH word, you take it from one position and you move it to another position. We call that move. So at the end of the day, we have two processes. We have merge and we have move. But merge takes a head and combine it with a phrase. And move takes the constituent and move it to another position, which is not its canonical position. I think I will have to say something about this. We don't have time to talk about this in detail, but I will be referring to it tomorrow. Does this answer your question, sir?
Yes, thank you, sir.
Yeah. Any more questions about what we have discussed so far? Okay, I think the key points that I should leave you with. Number one, you should master the X-bar format. That's essential. Number two, you should master the clause structure. The VP, which is the complement of I, the IP, which can be the complement of C, which is the complementizer. You should know that adjuncts are adjoined. You should know that the subject is either in the specifier of VP or the specifier of IP, or both of them, like in the case of stranding. You should know that we may have inversion, and in the case of inversion, the specifier is left in the specifier of VP while the verb moves to I. And the PP, we have a PP which is adjoined to I bar, and we can have more than one PP, as we could see in this example from the mayor of Casterbridge. We have two adjuncts, which means that we have to iterate I bar 3 times.
Professor, I have another question, please.
Yeah, sure.
About the symbols. When we talk about the info phrase, we symbol it as IP, okay? We have the same symbol for the inverse phrase? IP.
Yeah, we use IP. That's the notation. We call them notations. Same notation.
Both info phrase that include auxiliary and the inverse phrase. Both we use IP.
Yeah, it's the same notation. In fact, I mean, we use the same notation because it's the same structure. It's just the IP, but we take the PP and we join it to I bar. So yeah.
And when we have a simple sentence without an auxiliary, we call it CP, complementizer phrase, which is a clause.
Yeah, complementizer phrase, we have it when we have the complementizer that. It's larger than, for example,
Sometimes it's hidden. Sometimes we have this is hidden.
Let me show you this example in here. This is, yeah.
Sometimes we are confused in the symbol of maximal projection.
The sentence is that he was gladly drawing a beautiful picture. That he was gladly drawing a beautiful picture. Like in the sentence, he told me that he was gladly drawing a beautiful picture. So you can see that we have that in the complementizer, in the head of the CP. Okay. That's it. And the IP, this is the IP with the subject, which is
that. So what kind of phrase it? What kind of is it?
Inflection. That's it, and the rest of the sentence. So the only difference between this sentence and the one that we have discussed is that in this one we have a complementizer, which is the head of CP. Does it?
If the complementizer is hidden, it's not we call it info phrase, or we keep it as CP.
It's CP, but we don't project it. You see, because it's not there. We start from the IP. We don't project this because it's not there. But we can project it. I mean, in case we want to be more precise, we project it and we indicate that this is like this, like phi. It's not there. It's empty. See? But I mean, practically, for practical reasons, we don't project it. If we don't have a complementizer, we just drop this. We don't project it. But we assume that it's there. Does this answer your question?
Yes, Professor. Thank you.
Yeah. Any more questions?
Professor, Should I create a new link? Because we still have 2 minutes.
Don't create any links because I will have to say goodbye and go peacefully. I mean, to what I was doing before I meet you. But I will be meeting you tomorrow at 5 o'clock. Please create a link of that. If you have any further questions, you can ask me. And tomorrow, I think it would be a good idea. Yes, it's good that you are recording, but I think if you can attend, that would be better because I would like to make some comments about the structure of the exam itself. So you'd better be there. How many students can it take?
About 100.
No more than that.
No.
Yes, more.
Okay, which means that first come, first serve, right?
Yes.
Yes, exactly.
Like them. But anyway, since you are recording the session, I think it's enough. But I mean, at least for this one, I think it will be very important because you will get the opportunity to ask your questions, and I will be talking to you about the structure of the exam. That's it, ladies and gentlemen.